NASA thought they knew Mars. They were wrong. A recent discovery from the Jezero crater has sent shockwaves through the scientific community. It's evidence of life. But here's the catch. It's also evidence of a sudden planetary ending. The implications are so staggering that some researchers are pointing to data that just doesn't add up, fueling theories of a great filter. This new Mars discovery isn't what we hoped for. It's a shocking warning about just how fragile life really is. The red planet spots. For decades, we have stared at Mars, the red dot in our night sky, and wondered. We see it as a cold, dusty, and empty world, a graveyard, but we also dream of it as a future, a new home, a new beginning. NASA has spent billions sending orbiters, landers, and robotic explorers to scratch at its rusty surface. Their main goal, to answer the one question that haunts us, are we alone? To find out, they sent their most advanced robot ever built, the Perseverance rover. This is, to put it mildly, a $2 billion nuclear-powered geologist. It's armed with lasers that can vaporize rock, high-definition cameras that are its eyes, and a sophisticated arm with a drill. Its entire mission is to hunt for biosignatures. That's the fancy word for the fingerprints that life leaves behind. And to find those fingerprints, NASA sent it to the perfect spot, Jezero crater. You see, Jezero crater isn't just some random hole in the ground. Billions of years ago, it was a massive, sprawling lake. We are talking about a body of water that could have been hundreds of feet deep, covering an area larger than Lake Tahoe. And, crucially, a winding river delta once poured into it. This delta is key. Just like the Mississippi Delta on Earth, this ancient Martian river would have carried mud, sand, and sediment from highlands miles away, depositing it all in one place. If there was ever life on Mars, this delta mud is exactly where its fossils would be. For years, Perseverance has been drilling. It has been crawling across ancient shorelines and grinding into mudstones. The data has been good, showing that all the right ingredients for life were there, but it was all just context. There was no smoking gun. That is, until now. The rover was exploring a specific part of the delta, an outcrop of rock that scientists named Chayava Falls, and it saw something wrong, something that shouldn't be there. The rocks were covered in strange, speckled patterns. They were dark, patchy, and looked almost like spots. Scientists at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory quickly dubbed them leopard spots. This was not normal geology. This was not just dust or wind erosion. These spots looked like something in the rock, something that had been preserved. This is where the room at NASA went silent. Perseverance used its advanced chemical sniffing instruments to analyze exactly what these spots were made of. The data that came back was the bombshell, the one NASA had been waiting for, the one that changes every textbook. The spots were packed with iron, but not just any iron. They were the distinct chemical signature of iron-oxidizing bacteria. Let's be absolutely clear, this is the closest we have ever come to finding definitive proof of life on another world. These leopard spots are fossils. Not fossils of giant creatures, but of tiny microbes. What the rover found was essentially fossilized pond scum. Billions of years ago, this delta in Jezero crater was not a red desert. It was a thriving, muddy, wet ecosystem. It was teeming with microscopic life. These tiny creatures ate the iron that was dissolved in the water. They used it for energy, just like plants on Earth use sunlight. And then, these microbes left behind these leopard spots as their rusty waste product. What many overlooked is that this discovery means so much more than just Mars had water. We already knew that. This discovery means Mars had life. It had a complex, living ecosystem. 3.7 billion years ago, Mars could have looked like Yellowstone National Park, with colorful mats of microbes living in the warm, shallow water. This should have been a moment of pure celebration. It was the discovery of a lifetime. But it wasn't, because the thing nobody tells you is how these fossils were preserved. They were preserved too well, perfectly. They weren't broken down over millions of years. They were a snapshot, a Polaroid. The scientists at NASA, as they looked at the data, realized they weren't just looking at the fossil of an ancient life form. They were looking at the exact moment that life ended. This discovery wasn't a celebration. It was, frankly, terrifying. The data suggests that this living, breathing world, this muddy delta teeming with rock-eating microbes, was not a distant memory. It was a victim. Finding this life is the good news. The bad news, the part that's worse than we thought, is that Mars is a tomb. The leopard spots are the tombstones. The discovery proves Mars was alive, but it also proves that something catastrophic happened, something so fast and so violent that it flash froze these microbes in place, leaving their ghosts behind in the rock for us to find. The scientists weren't just shocked by the life, they were shocked by the speed of its disappearance. This discovery changes everything. Mars was our cousin, and now we have to figure out what, or who, eliminated it. This life was real, but what wiped it out so fast? The planet that stopped breathing. So, what happened? How does a planet that looks like Yellowstone with flowing rivers and living ecosystems turn into the frozen, barren desert we see today? The clues left behind, not just by Perseverance, but by all of our missions, paint a picture of a planet that perished in a way that is, to put it mildly, a direct warning to us. The main suspect is the planet's own body. You see, back when those microbes were making leopard spots in the mud, Mars was a Goldilocks planet. It was just right. It had a thick atmosphere, far thicker than our own, made mostly of carbon dioxide. This CO2 acted like a planetary blanket, trapping the sun's heat and keeping the surface warm enough for liquid water. It had clouds. It had rain. It had temperatures that might have reached 50 or 60 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. It was, for all intents and purposes, a cousin to Earth. But Mars had a fatal flaw. It is small. It's only about half the size of Earth. A smaller planet means a smaller engine. Deep inside every planet, there is a core. Earth's core is a giant spinning ball of molten iron. This spinning engine creates a massive, invisible force field around our planet called the magnetosphere. This shield is the single most important thing that keeps us alive. It protects us from the sun. Mars had one too. But because Mars is small, its engine cooled down. It ran out of fuel. It stopped spinning, and the planet's magnetic shield failed. This is where the catastrophe begins. What many overlooked is that this magnetic field was the only thing standing between the living world of Mars and the fury of the sun. The sun is not just a gentle ball of light. It's a raging nuclear furnace that shoots out something called the solar wind. This is a constant, unending stream of high-energy particles blasting out from the sun in all directions at over 1,000,000 miles per hour. For billions of years, Earth's shield has deflected this wind, but when the Martian shield went down, the solar wind slammed directly into the Martian atmosphere. It began to strip it away, molecule by molecule, like a cosmic sandblaster. NASA's MAVEN orbiter, which is still circling Mars, has measured this. It can see the planet's air literally leaking into space right now. Billions of years ago, this process would have been 1,000 times more violent. This wasn't a slow, gentle process. It was a runaway great freeze. As the atmosphere was torn away, the air pressure on the surface dropped. The water in that massive Jezero lake and in all the other lakes and oceans across Mars didn't just freeze. It boiled away into space. When pressure gets low enough, water can't stay liquid. It just evaporates instantly. At the same time, all that CO2 that was acting as the planet's warm blanket was either stripped away by the sun or froze solid at the poles. This is what the planet's ice caps are made of. Not water ice, but frozen CO2, or dry ice. In a geological blink of an eye, maybe just a few thousand years, Mars went from a living, breathing world to a frozen, irradiated wasteland. This is the worse than we thought scenario. The leopard spot microbes at Cheyava Falls didn't just get old and fade away. They were flash frozen. One day they were eating iron in a muddy delta, and the next, the sky was literally ripped off their planet. The temperature plummeted hundreds of degrees, and their entire world was locked in ice where it remains today. This is a grim, dark, and shocking fate. It's a story of a planet that died on its own. It's a natural disaster on a planetary scale, and it's a terrifying mirror. We look at Mars and we see a planet that was destroyed by a runaway climate event, by a change in its atmosphere. It's a warning, written in red dust, about just how fragile a planet's climate really is. This story of a planet dying because its core cooled is the official scientific consensus, but not all things are what they seem. A dead core and a runaway freeze are bad enough. The planet died on its own. Or did it get a push? The violence of a red world. The story of a cooling core is clean, scientific, and it makes sense. But there is other data coming back from Mars. Data that suggests the planet's past wasn't just a slow, cold decline. It was violent, unthinkably violent. While Perseverance is drilling for life, another quieter lander was listening. NASA's InSight lander was a planetary doctor. Its one job was to put a stethoscope to the Martian surface and listen for the planet's heartbeat. It was listening for Marsquakes, and what it heard was shocking. The planet is not quiet. It is incredibly active. InSight heard thousands of quakes. But the thing nobody tells you is that these are not like earthquakes. Earthquakes last for seconds, maybe a minute. They are sharp, and then they are over. InSight recorded Marsquakes that lasted for over an hour. They were long, rumbling, low-frequency events, as if the whole planet was shuddering. Scientists believe these aren't just normal tectonic movements, they are impact ghosts. The surface of Mars is covered in massive, ancient asteroid craters, some of them hundreds of miles wide. The scars from these impacts are so deep, so fundamental to the planet's structure, that they are still settling and shifting billions of years later. The planet is still shaking, still shuddering from the trauma of its birth. This tells us the planet's past was a battlefield. It was pummeled by space rocks. This is where the official story begins to crack, and the wild theories come in. And many people are crazy about these theories because the pieces, they almost fit. What if Mars's engine didn't just cool down? What if it was broken? Let's talk about Comet 3I Atlas. This object zipped through our solar system a few years ago. It's a wow factor all on its own. Why? Because it was an interstellar visitor. It didn't come from our solar system. It came from the dark, cold void between the stars. It was a messenger from another sun. It was essentially an alien, like its famous cousin Oumuamua. This comet proved that our solar system is not a closed box. Things get in from the outside all the time. This has led to a terrifying theory. What if 3 or 4 billion years ago, another interstellar comet didn't just fly by Mars? What if it was a direct hit? Think about it. The InSight lander proved the planet is still shaking from ancient impacts. What if one giant impact from an interstellar object was the trigger for everything? An object from another star system, moving at an incredible speed, slamming into Mars. The energy would be unthinkable. It could have been the push that started the whole catastrophe. A big enough hit could have literally blown off huge chunks of the atmosphere in an instant. It could have sent shockwaves so powerful they destabilized the planet's core, helping to shut down the magnetic field. In this wild theory, the microbes at Chayava Falls didn't just freeze in a natural disaster. They were the victims of an interstellar drive-by. This event would have been the single most violent day in Martian history. The day the sky was torn away and the planet was given a death sentence. But there is another theory, one that's even worse. What if the comet didn't hit Mars? What if it just infected it? We know comets are not just rocks and ice. They are dirty snowballs. They are packed with complex organic molecules. They are essentially flying chemical laboratories, carrying the building blocks of life. This is a real theory called panspermia, the idea that life can spread from planet to planet, hitching a ride on comets. But what if they also carry the building blocks of something else? This is the zombie virus theory. It is the idea that this interstellar object, this alien visitor, passing through the early Martian atmosphere or breaking up over the planet, seeded Mars with a plague. Not a virus for humans, but a microscopic invader. What if this alien microbe was so effective, so much more advanced than the native leopard spot bacteria, that it simply ate everything? It would be a planetary scale infection, an alien life form landing in the warm, wet lakes of Jezero and finding a global buffet. It would have spread across the planet, consuming the native life, and then, once its food source was gone, it too would have perished, leaving behind a completely sterile planet. This would explain the speed of the extinction. It wasn't a slow freeze. It was a biological war. and Mars lost. This all sounds like science fiction, but it taps into the darkest fears about our universe. That it's not just empty, it's hostile. But what if the victims weren't just microbes? The Great Filter is real. This is where the story always goes. For decades, people have stared at grainy, low-resolution pictures from Mars and seen things. The famous Face on Mars in the Cydonia region. Pyramids, tubes, structures. People point to these images, many of which get deleted or hidden from NASA's public servers as proof that Mars wasn't just alive, it was intelligent. They argue that the catastrophe that wiped out the planet wasn't a natural event at all. It was a war, an extinction-level event that eliminated an entire civilization. So, let's come back down to Earth. Are there really pyramids on Mars? Did NASA find the ruins of a city in Jezero crater? The answer is probably not. The truth is, 99.9% of these structures are just what scientists say they are, tricks of light and shadow on rocks. It's a phenomenon called pareidolia. It's the same reason we see faces in the clouds or a man in the moon. Our brains are hardwired to see patterns, especially faces. The deleted images are almost always just raw, unprocessed data that gets taken down and replaced with color-corrected, calibrated images. And the face on Mars, when NASA photographed it again years later with a high-resolution camera, was very, very clearly a natural mountain, a mesa. But here's the thing, we don't need alien cities for this new discovery to be the most terrifying news of the century. We don't need pyramids. The real shock, the part that is truly worse than we thought, is the Cheava Falls discovery itself, the leopard spots, the real microbes, because they prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that a planet right next door to us, a planet that is almost identical to Earth, successfully developed life. It had an ecosystem, it had a chance, and it failed. This taps into a chilling idea called the Great Filter. It's a theory that tries to answer the dark, silent question of astronomy. Where is everybody? The universe is enormous. There are billions of planets just in our own galaxy. Life should be everywhere, so why is it silent? The Great Filter is a hypothesis. It says there is some barrier, some wall, some test that stops life from becoming a spacefaring, interstellar civilization. And it's a wall that is almost impossible to get past. There are two options. Either the filter is behind us, meaning that starting life, or single-celled life, is the hard part, or the filter is in front of us, meaning that intelligence is the barrier, that all intelligent civilizations, once they discover technology, inevitably destroy themselves through war or plagues or climate change. For our entire history, we have hoped the filter was behind us. We hoped that we were the miracle, the first ones to make it, but Mars just proved that wrong. The leopard spots prove that life is not the miracle. Life starts easily. Mars did it. Earth did it. Life is common. This is the most terrifying realization of all. It means the Great Filter is not behind us. It is in front of us. Mars is the proof. It's a filter victim. It's a planet that had life, and it perished. It hit the wall. This is the worse than we thought moment. This is the shock that has NASA scientists scrambling. Mars is a mirror. It's a ghost of Earth. We are now watching our own CO2 levels rise. We are seeing our own planet's climate change at a terrifying speed. Mars's story, the story of a runaway climate catastrophe, is a warning, written in the tombstones of its microbes. But is it completely dead? There is one last mystery: methane. For years, our orbiters and rovers have detected burps of methane gas in the Martian atmosphere. This is a wow factor because methane is fragile. Sunlight destroys it in just a few hundred years. So, if we are seeing methane today, it means something on Mars is making it right now. What is it? Is it just geology, water reacting with hot rock deep underground? Or is it biology? Is it possible that life didn't completely perish? Could the leopard spot microbes have retreated underground into pockets of liquid water warmed by the planet's dying core? Are these methane burps the last dying gasps of a billion-year-old ecosystem? Or, in the darkest version of this story, is it the alien plague microbe, still alive, still breathing, waiting in the dust? This is why there is such a desperate, urgent race to get back to Mars. NASA's next mission is a sample return. A rocket will land on Mars, Perseverance will drive over and give it the samples it has collected, and that rocket will launch, bringing pieces of Mars and the leopard spots back to Earth. This is why SpaceX is pushing to get Starship flying by 2026. This isn't just about exploration anymore. This isn't just about planting a flag. It is a race for survival. We have to get those samples. We have to read the tombstone of Mars. We need to understand exactly what happened. Did the planet die on its own, or was it pushed? We have to solve the mystery of Mars because we might just be looking at our own future.